A very good morning to you. This is Monday with Friday. Please remember to like and share this video as widely as you can. Things go wrong when someone is considered too big for correction. When banks are considered too big to fail, crooks too big to nail, and presidents too big to jail, economies implode and democracies explode. Such people become a danger to themselves and others. Organizations, communities, and nations malfunction. Sometimes people even die. Whether it is a president who thinks might is right, or a prime minister of a tiny nation who thinks her judgment regarding a regional challenge from outside is superior to the collective wisdom of her territorial colleagues who share a formal organization that also shares intelligence, or it is the chair of a board of a church institution or a secular workplace who thinks he or she is Lord of all, such people always prove dangerous liabilities either in the short or long run. Not everyone who appears weak is weak, and not everyone who appears strong is strong. Some weaklings mask their insecurities and weakness with bullyism and cruelty. Not everyone who holds great power is ultimately or completely or eternally strong, or the ultimate winner in the end, and not everyone who is weak remains weak, or is necessarily the loser in the end. There are many fables and stories that communicate those truths. The Berlin Wall fell without an army knocking it down. Apartheid ended finally when those who held political power proved weaker than the imprisoned man they thought was weak who held moral and national power for 26 years. There was a time when Rome was busy conquering, invading, colonizing, claiming and ruling Egypt, Greece, France, Spain, and England, executing Vercingetorix and Acco along the way. It is as though Caesar was an overconfident Russian, capturing and claiming Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporizhia, and the rest of Ukraine, killing Alexei Navalny, Viktor Litvinenko, and Yevgeny Prigozhin. It's as though Caesar was the most morally depraved and history-deficient human being ever to be called an American president, drunk with power, talking about capturing Canada, Greenland, the Panama Canal, Panama, the Gulf of Mexico, Venezuela, perhaps Guyana, watch out, and even the Gaza Strip, while killing hundreds of people in the Gulf of Paria and the Caribbean Sea, and brutalizing and killing on American streets, American civilians by proxy through his personal police force, better known as ICE, with the assent of his personal law firm, better known as the Department of Justice, his personal jurists, better known as the Supreme Court, and his personal protectors, better known as Congress. This hypocritical and wicked American Caesar is talking about militarily defending Iranian protesters oppressed by their government on their sovereign soil, while he is brutalizing and killing American protesters at home. But what these Caesars must realize is that Rome is no more. Persia is no more. The Byzantine, Mongol, Ottoman, Spanish, Russian, German, Japanese, British, and Soviet empires have all crashed. They've failed and are no more. So, as they would say in Trinidad and Jamaica, let the donkeys bray. A former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, from whom his successor should have learned some regional and political tactical wisdom for her current tenure, once said, quote, "Politics has a morality of its own," unquote. The late Basideo Pandey did not say that so as to commit or excuse himself of any crime, although he was convicted of one and later acquitted on appeal. Anyone looking on at politicians anywhere could not disagree with Pandey's comment. But as unfortunate a truth it is not nearly fractionally as frightening as the declaration of the American felon who thinks himself to be the king of the world. When asked last week by a reporter if there was anything that would stop him, that man declared nonchalantly, quote, "Yeah, there's one thing, my own morality, my own mind. It's the only thing that can stop me," unquote. This is the clearest declaration of how infinitely dangerous this man is, for he is totally lacking in morality, ethics, conscience, or empathy, not to mention a mind, and is therefore potentially unstoppable. But wait, this is also the declaration of a fool. Another late Trinidadian, a Pentecostal preacher named the Reverend Turnell Nelson, would say in his raspy voice while addressing this kind of human pride and folly, "I believe that God still kills people," unquote. Let us be very clear. God, whether it is the uppercase G or lowercase g for your liking, God or life or time or age or biology or circumstances or consequences, something will stop this man. And don't be surprised if it is the fallout from one of his very own cowardly and bullying, strong-armed and villainous acts of wickedness upon someone, some nation, or some group he considered weak and over whom he could take advantage because he was just powerful and could do what he wanted. Be very sure. From the beginning of Western civilization, starting with Columbus and his so-called Christianizers, there was an ideology that some people, a minority, are born to rule while the masses, the rest of us, are born to be ruled. That ideology has been clothed in white supremacy in the West and elsewhere and baptized in a version of Christianity so corrupted, defaced, and distorted, it should never be called Christian. Unfortunately, corrupt men and women with the titles Reverend and Evangelist, most of them white and some black and Hispanic, have become the baptizers, anointers, and affirmers of this most corrupt American leader and his very corrupt, cruel, and lawless administration. They are nothing but impostors and traitors. These bullies and oppressors shall not win. They may be powerful now, but not forever. They shall not win. They must not win. We should not enable them to win, even though it is some of us Americans who enabled them to gain this power, this evil power. It is said that the long arc of history always bends towards right, light, and justice, but it is neither autonomous nor automatic. Sometimes justice arrives when the weight of the entrenched injustice collapses on itself, and when those of us who keep chanting down Babylon and speaking truth cause it to fall. Pride never comes after a fall, and the higher the wall on which the mighty sit, the longer the drop, and the harder the fall. I'm Michael Friday, and your week just got hopeful. I'll see you again soon. Happy Monday, all the way to Friday.